This is the Boss Metal Zone. You either love it or you hate it, but one of the best things about this pedal, it has a fantastic EQ section. And what we're going to do today is convert this from a metal monster to a clean boost with fabulous EQ. Let's start with the schematic review. So this is the gain section and this is the filter section. And what we're going to do is lift this cap and lift this resistor and put a double pole, double throw switch. So you can switch between having this circuit enabled, which gives you all the gain on your overdrive, and some filtering as well. Or just directly bypass this and just use the filter section. And that's where it stops being a metal monster and becomes a boosted equalizer or equalized boost. And we can take advantage of this great filtering that's here, the low pass and the high pass, and then of course the parametric filtering. So let's do the mod and then let's go on to do some measurements. We've completed the mod and I've got the pedal now hooked up to the UA Vault, and I'm going to do some frequency sweeps. So first of all, I've got everything set to the center, and so let's do our first frequency sweep. And you can see that it's fairly flat. It's a low frequency roll off. It's mostly uncolored at this point, I think, if we look to the signal. So why don't we now roll off these guys? And so we're cutting highs and we're cutting lows, and leave the other one in the center, and let's see what happens. So let's run it again. Now you can see that we have a filter, so our high pass and a low cut, centered around 600 megahertz. So if I take this, and the center here is amplitude, and I just turn up the amplitude, see what happens to about 3/4. And it's bigger. And so I've emphasized frequencies, or de-emphasized frequencies, it looks like, if I compare the two. Yeah, I've de-emphasized some of the higher frequencies. So this thing's well centered around 600 megahertz. So what if I now move the outer one, which is a frequency sweep, move that to 3/4, run the sweep. So we move that envelope higher, so it's now centered more like 600 to 700 hertz. So let's move it up a little higher and then do the measurement again. And now we have a peak. It's kind of centered around 800. We've got it's letting a good amount of energy, around 1000 kilohertz through, and that's where we want to be. But you can see here we've got a reasonably tight filter of about 500 hertz in width, with the upper frequency being about 1.5 megahertz and the lower frequency being about 400. So that will give us a nice tone, much like a cocked wah sound. So what I want to do now is replace this with a wah, and we're going to talk about a phenomenon called Q. So that, I would say, is a reasonably wide Q. A wah uses an inductor. These guys uses a circuit element called a gyrator, which is how you emulate an inductor. And the benefit of it is that, you know, for low frequency, inductors can get very, very large. So if you do it with discrete components, I think this uses transistors. The gyrator takes much less space at these lower frequencies. So let's hook up the wah-wah pedal now. I've got a crybaby around here. Let me hook it up. I've got the crybaby hooked up now. Again, this is a parametric filter. So when you move it up and down, you're sweeping a center frequency, much like we did when we moved the outer knob on the Metal Zone, but this isn't using a gyrator. This is using an actual inductor. Let's do the measurement again and see what we got. And you see this has a much tighter Q. And where I've got it right now, which is almost in the down position completely, we're about 800 megahertz. So if I roll that back to say the halfway point and do the measurement again, and let's see where our peak lies. And at the halfway point of the wah, we're about 500. The benefit of using the Metal Zone, it takes a lot less space than a wah pedal, and if you just want to feed it into another distortion pedal and just squeeze out the mids, this mod is going to be a good mod for you. If you're going to use a wah pedal for something else, then you can use the cock wah effect on this, and it's a much higher Q, so it is going to be better. But I think what I'm going to do now is when we do the tone tests, I'm going to put the equalize boost, as I call it, into a distortion plus, and then I'll also use an equalizer after the distortion plus, just to remove some of the edges, if you will, of the frequency response, and just tighten up the slopes of those curves. Right, we're all set up for the tone test. So no pedals on. Bridge pickup. Now let's put our Metal Zone on. Everything's in the mid position. And let's tweak it up a bit. So in the frequency response examples, we tightened up the filter by turning these two guys down. And then this is a sweep, so we'll increase that and just move it over here a little bit. Okay, now everything's sat there around 800 hertz to a kilohertz, or 1.2 kilohertz. Let's put on the distortion plus. Without the Metal Zone. Parametric filtering. And let's see what we can tidy up with the equalizer. Yeah, I think it's okay without the equalizer. The Q of the Metal Zone as the filter that we're using, I feel good about it. That's great. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.